Hi everyone, Internet PCS Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about the characters taught me everything, living life one episode at a time by Megumi Hayashibara. Megumi Hayashibara is a voice actress who, if you watch anime, there's a big chance that you already heard of. And I'm talking about both her voice and her name since there are so much iconic character that she has voiced where you cannot separate the character and the voice that she performed. And this book is the story of her life through the story of all the lives that she has performed. The book starts with her early career in 1980s, a time when artists, some of the most pretentious people on the planet, mostly still have the mentality to keep acting, and they try to lower the value of voice acting as acting for those who cannot act, which thankfully the author did not believe, because already in this era we have some of her most iconic roles, like Kindergarten B, an unseen character from Maison Ikoku. Characters that rival Charlie White Jr. performance as the strict age medic that carried the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Okay, all jokes aside, these are actually her first roles. These unnamed side characters, Passerby B, Boy A, Housewife B, she had to climb the ladder slowly until she got the role of another unnamed side character, but this time in Ghibli's Castle in the Sky, a movie from a new studio named Ghibli, whose director Hayao Miyazaki at that time has gained fame from two other movies, Lupin's Castle of Cagliostro, and Nausicaa of Valley of the Wind. In Castle of the Sky, she voiced this woman in blue that the main character Pazu ran into, and a few other characters with only a few lines. It's not after all these roles that she finally got the chance to voice a main character in a new series, Mashinhiro Wataru. While it is a fairly small series, but she left enough of an impression that they even cast her back for the main iteration of the story later on. After that, she voiced in even more unknown series like Alfred Jigwag and Fujiko F. Fujio Chimpui that doesn't go as big as Doraemon or 21emon. Then finally, she got her big break, voicing this time as the main lead. She voiced the female counterpart of Ranma in Rumiko Takahashi Ranma and a Half, a story about a boy who, because of an incident, got cursed to become a woman when splashed with cold water and become a man when splashed with hot water. Yeah, it sounds as weird as it is awesome. She then immediately voiced Christina Mackenzie in what I think is one of the best Gundam ever, Gundam 0080. Then we move to 1990s, the decade that I think will turn her into a household name. But it is still a time when even in Japan, the reporters still go say things like, "It's just anime, right, lol?" Because anime at that time is still considered kids content. Yes, this is despite Gundam, a series that tackles politics and war, is already airing. During this decade, she voiced Bakabon, the highly underrated Minky Momo, and 3x3 Eyes. Yes, I spelled the X. What's up, Hunter x Hunter fans? All-Purpose Cultural Cat. Then she voiced in All-Purpose Cultural Cat, which is one of the anime that feels like a fever dream if you have one. Video Girl AI from the god Masakazu Katsura that has also done Ice, Z-Man, and the design for Tiger and Bunny, all great series. She then voiced Young Genkai in Yu Yu Hakusho, another iconic series where its tournament arcs still influence shonen genre even to this day. She then voiced in a mini-series, World Masterpiece Theater, in one of the episodes called Tico of the Seven Seas. Then she also voiced in Blue Seed. And then she voiced in arguably one of the most iconic series in anime, Rei Ayanami in Hideaki Anno's Evangelion. Quite possibly one of the most complex characters that she has to voice, since subtle acting is not exactly a skill that is usually associated in anime, and Rei is something else. After that, she voiced Lina in First From Slayer that somehow got into Dota 2. And still at the same decade, she voiced the underrated ninja series Ninku, Sorcerer Hunters, Girl Saber Marionette, then another big role as Team Rocket's Jessie or Musashi from the most successful anime franchise, Pokemon. Followed by another iconic role where her voice are just as inseparable from the character as much as the music in the series is as inseparable from the series. Faye Valentine in Shinichiro Watanabe Cowboy Bebop. Followed by another small series, Lost Universe, then another iconic role as Ai Haibara in Aoyama Gosho's Detective Conan. I think it's fair to say that if you ever heard some of her work, it will be the one from 1990s because it is such a stacked decade for her. But it's not like in the change of millennia in 2000, her role is not as good. She started the decade by voicing Anna in Shaman King, an underrated series that's just been remade recently. Then a leading role in Shrine of the Morning Mist, and the highly underrated Cheeky Angel, which if you don't have the time to watch it, I highly recommend to read it along with Angel Densetsu. they're really good. She then voiced in one of the great late director Satoshi Kon's movie Paprika, both as the title character Paprika and as Atsuko Chiba. Satoshi Kon only ever made 4 movies and 1 series before his sudden passing at the young age of 46. I highly recommend all of them. Then came 2010, this decade, she has already been highly established in the industry, and you can feel them from the entry here, a result of decades of hard work. She still voiced in a lot of mostly unknown series like Martok Scramble, Asura, Insufficient Direction, but she still got into some of the most famous ones like as a rival in Chihaya Furu, and then as a main villain in Ushio and Tora. She also voiced in one of the most underrated original anime, Shouwagen Roku Rakugo Shinju, and the great manga adaptation of Karakuri Circus. She also got more work from those already familiar with her voice like Rinne from the creator of Ranma and Caroline Tuesday from the creator of Cowboy Bebop. Here she also casually dropped that she went to lunch with Oda Ichiro, the creator of One Piece, where he said, "I'll make a character for you to voice," and then he wrote Rebecca so Megumi Hayashibara can voice her. And those are all the roles mentioned in the book. What is kinda mind-blowing is that everything that has been mentioned in the book is not all of the roles that she was in. There's still a lot of big names like City Hunter, Pet Labor, Shurato, Macross, Lovina, Love, Weki, Space Dandy, and even more titles. She even acted not as voice actress and also made music album. I think it's fair to say that she is one of the busiest person on the planet with everything that she's done, and the book can only contain a small part of those. What the book is not is a whistleblower kind of story that tells the shady parts of the industry. The author is not gonna go Snowden in this book. It won't go to tell stories that are told in Oshinoko like the sexism in the industry, or about how brutal the working environment and the abuse of its worker. The book is a really professional and safe take on series that the author works in and the lesson and the experience that she gained from them. Part of the book is also very much just generic self-help book content with generic advice, but what makes up for most of the appeal in the book is honestly not her advice, which is most of the time is just work hard, you can do it too. Which you don't really need to waste money to buy books for that. Just Google motivational quote and you can get them for free. What makes the book is really interesting to read is her journey through her acting career in one of the most unique industry and her personal approach to the stories, which is as the title suggests. You can learn from a lot of these stories, more specifically from its character, their flaws and weaknesses, their insecurities, their strength, their struggle, their resolve, and their growth. Even when they're fictional, you can learn from them and apply them to yourself. Some of these titles work as well as literature in teaching its consumer about empathy and sympathy. That's why I think a big part of anime community, albeit filled with some degenerate that has gone too far because they've watched too many wish fulfillment fantasy that they can no longer separate real life and fantasy, but it is also filled with some of the most wholesome communities that are always excited and supportive to join donation events. Because a lot of these stories have some introspective nature to them. And as a big bonus, you might not consider it from looking at the cover because of how ass the cover of the book is. But hey, don't judge the book by its cover, right? Because on the inside, because Megumi Hayashibara is a household name in the anime industry, the book is filled with highly detailed original drawing from the artists that she works with. They're such good art, and it's kinda cool how almost every one of them also leave a message in the drawing. Part of it might be just for networking and for advertising their work, but part of them is also because they're a fan of her work as a voice actor. And if you're either a fan of her or a fan of some of the titles in this book, the book is a really great choice for people that want to nerd out like I did on this video. I give this a 4. What do you think? Are you gonna read it? Did I miss anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it.